Kenya is founded or claims to be founded on the foundations of democracy. A democracy that a country gave itself when it allowed the return of multi-party democracies sometime in 1992. And this is a civic space that a lot of us who are actively and in the past fought for desire to have going into the future. That's why today, young people who have been labeled Gen Z revolutionaries are out in the street asking you, Je, uko Kadi? And by the way, I hope uko Kadi because mimi Niko Kadi. And this is because young people believe it is time for them to create a ballot revolution. But you cannot do that if you are not a registered voter. Again, this is a reflection of the gap that exists in governance, a reflection of the gap that is within leadership structures and those who we have allowed to provide us leadership. Ideally, I know leadership has many intonations within it. One person the other day asked me, Eli, what if you were to vie for a political office? What then will you tell your constituents as to what you plan to do? I think that seems like a very easy question until you think through it. But you see, basic politicians will tell you how they're going to connect you to the national grid in 2027 because you are a forgotten community. Basic politicians will tell you how you need water. And in fact, they will tell you how they'll make sure that young people have jobs. But then when you turn around, you realize all these are beautiful words, but as a populace, we believe them because they are very enticing to the ear. Now, hear me out, ladies and gentlemen. This is not me trying to take a detour from the issue that I've presented to us. This is me trying to persuade you to understand where the gaps are within our leadership structures. I do not want to pretend to pose and propose the most, I call them, the most brilliant ideas on how to solve our current issues in our political space. Again, I'll be naive to believe if voted today in office, I will change the life of each and every Kenyan individually. No, that is the point we miss. We miss the point when we say, Mimi amenifanyia nini. All right? I want us to take a moment and pause and ask ourselves, how have the public policies that have been passed from the parliament with the hand of the executive or through litigation affected your day-to-day life? Ideally, a basic Kenyan with a basic common understanding will tell you, as long as mimi nimeshiba, the rest is their problem. Now, njaa na nimeshiba are very serious brothers. In fact, I will call them infidels because they believe in having infidelity amongst themselves, and there's no problem as long as one is eliminated at a given time t. The statements that President William Ruto made in that public fora are statements that should worry you and I. Why? Assuming we were to put this on the threshold of not just mere public submissions from the presidency and the president himself, I will categorize them into two tiers. Number one, I am listening these from the head of state, a man whose intelligence circle is the top notch. In fact, he might even know who you went out with yesterday if he needs to know that. It is not difficult for the president to know who is your husband or wife or who you are dating. That is intelligence he can get with a snap of a finger. He gets briefed when Kenyans sleep hungry, how many died overnight, how many woke up, and how many probably will be missing their meal. That is how powerful that office is, among other things that that office comes with. So when the stature of a president tells you and calls out a former competitor, heartless murderer, it is something that should concern you. Now, it is supposed to be a matter of public interest where the shifts become not what was said, rather who said it. Now, when it is about who said it, it is understandable because when the individual that is discussing this issue has been implicated in various public scandals, sometimes it reduces that confidence of, yes, I can place a doubt on 1, 2, 3. However, in the social room, when you think through it, you'll understand human beings are just human beings, irrespective of the offices they hold. They get angry, they let the cat out of the bag, and in this scenario, that has happened. Remember, one of the main issues that the then Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua faced was implications of his hands in the twisting on the will of his brother Gachagua. And in that, it also brought an indictment on him, saying that Parliament was persuaded to dethrone him as DP because he did not appear to be a man of character as expected of office. But then again, when it comes to politics, character is elusive, and so is integrity. It depends what side of the aisle you are on and what are the ended interests that come with it. In fact, this is the only place who pays the piper calls the tune. So, as much as Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua had a lot of mud on his face, it was important for him to be lynched out of office because it was a political move. Checkmate. Now, what I wonder to date is all the accusations that were made, Mr. Gachagua is still a free man. And that's why you question what exactly is justice and what is democracy? And then, what is the threshold of sinking low? Because if, and a big if, because I'm very, very considerate with the words I'm using tonight, if the issue of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was anything to go by, the accusations now being levied by the head of state should have attracted the eye of the DCI and the Criminal Investigation Unit. But again, he was very fast to give us a fact check. And this is posted by their official handle called DCP TV. I'm going to read it out. Fact check. Maureen Gathingia Kinyua died in a road accident, not murder or being unalived. Nyeri County, Kenya, popular blogger and social media personality Maureen Gathingia Kinyua tragically passed away on May 24, 2019 in a road traffic accident near Sagana Catholic Church in Mathira, Nyeri County. Investigations into the incident classified it as hit and run, and there is no official evidence linking her death to murder or foul play. The driver involved, Jackson Nganga Njoria, was subsequently charged in Karatina court with causing death by dangerous driving. He denied the charges and was later released on a 150,000 Kenyan shillings bond while awaiting further legal proceedings. Court records and police investigations consistently indicate that the death resulted from a traffic accident rather than a deliberate criminal act. I leave it at that. You know, when it comes to politics, accidents happen a lot. In politics, if somebody chop off your finger, you actually accidentally cut it while piecing some meat for dinner. In fact, it's very possible in politics to wake up and have an accident and break your neck. That is how politics work. Politics requires anyone that is on the table and able to call a shot to actually call the shot. And when that happens, it was a criminal incident. Because in Kenya, there are a lot of crimes related to people who use drugs and abuse drugs. But it's even more convenient when the accused personas have political influence. This does not in any way mean or implicate the mentioned persons as a person of interest yet, because after all, the police reports were consistent. Now, the only thing that is consistent is the fact that all of us have shifted from that and now going back to 2017 Baba Abi's tweet on X. And in that 2017 tweet of Baba Abi X, or then known as Twitter, Baba Abi, also known as President William Ruto, will go ahead to say, and I paraphrase, I went ahead to secure her a job that pays her 90,000 Kenyan shillings. I also provide her 40,000 shillings monthly for upkeep. She went ahead to have 3 more children. How is that supposed to be my business? But you see, that today resurfaced as the major point of Kenyans who are concerned on the blackmail that is happening. Remember, I've used the word blackmail. So, politicians and politics thrive on blackmail. I was about to be crucified by my people by saying it is blackmail because it's not blackmail. If it was a plucking mail, then the feathers will be plucked off, because at one point you can actually pluck them off. What a way to look at politics. But then again, I would love to know what you think about this whole scenario, because it is not going anywhere anytime soon. Just like music is here to stay. This is, of course, The Social Room, and that was my monologue.
Court FM. Let the music play.